Hello and welcome to another Budget Model Railways video. We're having a lot of fun doing the beginner's guide to model railways, but I've also got a bit inspired by the little thing that I did up here in the loft with my little independent light railway going up the incline. And what I've basically done in the last week is built all the buildings for it. So what we've got here is, this is the Daypole bungalow, which is quite a boring kit, but I've converted it and made it into a timber station building, which obviously there are a lot of, particularly on things like the Southern Railway. I've done some work on the doors. It was an impossibly fiddly job sticking all the cardboard on, but it's just cardboard, cereal packet cardboard stuck on with PVA. I had a couple of attempts, so I tried overlapping it, but I decided I liked the tongue and groove effect. I've also taken windows out, moved windows, and I'm quite pleased with that. I've actually got a plan to do one with brick paper, which I'll show you in a later video. Now this, I wanted a little look-up goods shed, and this is the bottom of a Daypole signal box. I bought it for 50p from Classic Rail a couple of years ago. Didn't have all its bits, so I took the top off, dropped the roof down, put a thick bit of card in here to give it a bit of height, cut a new door, and there we go. That's our look-up goods. So that I've had about 20 years. That cost me 50p. This also cost me 150. It's the little Wills signal box. Again, I got it from Richard at Classic Rail. If you're after a few second-hand bits, give him a ring or an email. It's still one of the best sources. And I've just repainted it in the same cream and green, bit Southern Railway. And then I decided I needed an engine shed, and that had to be scratch built. So this has all been built again from mounting board, serial packet card, done the same way. However, it's going to turn out to be a very influential building. Got enough light. I'm just going to move it there so we've got a bit more light. It's going to turn out to be a very influential building for us, because this is a new way that I've tried of doing roofs. I don't know if Doug zooms in if you can see it, but it's strips of scored serial packet card, overlapped, black washed, dry brushed, and it really looks effective. It's not a new technique, it's been around for decades. And I might even redo the buildings on my harbour layout with this because I'm so pleased with it. I've done window frames out of cardboard on the windows for a change. I've done some detail on the doors, dry brushed it. I was quite pleased with the roof vent, which is just cardboard. So that's going to look great there. And then I've had a little change on the track plan, because I painted up one of our Budget Model Railways 00 rail buses that just runs on the little 040 chassis. We discovered that by painting the underbit black, it's not so obvious it looks a little tall. I've done it in the same colourways as the coaches, picked the handrails out and the strakes on the roof in white and the vents in silver. I've got to put buffers on yet. It just looks right for what a lot of these light railways did in the 1930s and 40s. Little rail buses to try and solve the passenger problem. So what I've done is I've added another little point here. And that gives me the opportunity then to run a little rail bus as well. And I've worked out that if I put a power feed in here, then that'll obviously power this and the engine shed, and I can just isolate them with the points. I've got a power take off at the other end so that I can shunt this without having to use the main track, although I can use the main track if I want to. So I'm quite pleased with that. I'm going to put a little cattle dock here. So we'll have a cattle dock, goods, passengers, in what is a tiny little station, and that would meet the justification for these light railways originally. They were built where the main line didn't want to know, and the local community, long before roads, wanted to get goods particularly to the local big town. Passengers were often an afterthought. So we'll do a little history on this that ties in at some point. But I've got quite into this. I like my light railways. I've also been, you can see my loco collection here. And what I've been experimenting with is making sure the lower level runs okay. We've got the interesting double curve on the other side, and lots of big coaches slow down, but a goods train runs right through. And the rather noisy loco in the background. Me and Doug, we got a bored evening, so we got all our locos that won't run, took them apart, oiled, cleaned, sprayed with WD-40, all that sort of thing. It is a little noisy, but I paid 25 quid for it. And it's really rather a handsome locomotive. It's probably one of the best colourways, in my view, on the 50s. Full yellow ends, large logo. And we got that going. We've got our little warship going there, and so on. So we just got a few locos running, which was nice. My fiddle yard's in a bit of a mess, but I've been experimenting. I've got a rather annoying DMU that runs beautifully and then doesn't and then does. So there we go. Still, oh, and I'll just quickly show you, I finally got my fire engine where it belongs, in the fire station.
The story of the fire station.
The story of the fire station.
What happened?
Ah, right. So what happened with the fire stations, it used to live over the other side, where the police station is now. And I was cleaning track or something, wasn't I?
Yeah.
And I managed to knock it right over the back, which means crawling through a tiny little space and 20, 30 years of accumulated junk in our loft to get to it. And when I came up, I just needed somewhere to put it safely, so I plonked it there and then realised I liked it there. I've got a school, so we're going to have a nice little scene there. The fire station's going to go there. So as we get a bit more time, I'm hoping to do the loft. It does mean a few of the other projects might slow up, but I am quite into my loft, having spent years of not getting my head round it. Now we've got the Suburban Station, and the back scene and the big station and the hill little branch line, it's all beginning to come together. I also the other night just tweaked the track, the 4th radius curve at the back, because as you get to the right hand end, I've just got one of the buildings needs gluing in a bit more, but I've just been able to pull the track a few millimetres away, and it actually solved a little derailing problem I had on the track. The curve wasn't quite right when I put it in, which is yet another example of why I don't ballast track, because it looked fine. It's then moved a little bit with the heat, hasn't busted everything. Took me a few seconds with a pair of pliers just to realign the track. So there we go, a little update on the loft. It does look good in that scene with all the back scene. Does remind me so much of the layout as I remember when I was about 4 or 5 my dad had in the shed. And the only memory I've got in my head is of a big low relief industrial building on one wall. So I quite like that. And it works so well with the back scene stuck behind it to give you kind of double depth. And I was up here I'd come up here the other night. I can't remember the guy's name. There's one guy who does a brilliant video, and he admits he never gets any work done because every time he comes into the loft, he runs trains instead. And I did come up into the loft the other night to build and spent an hour running locos instead, because that's what the loft is for. You can't wait till it's finished. You've just got to run trains occasionally. So I hope you're all keeping well. Hope you're enjoying your model railways, and we'll keep uploading videos as often as we can to keep you entertained. Thank you very much, everybody, and speak to you again.
Hi, thanks for watching the video and for the nice comments. Click on the left for a previous video in this series, click on the right for another video you might enjoy, and please don't forget to click to subscribe, like, comment, etc. Thanks again.